Imagine waking up every single morning to a life that looks completely flawless from the outside, while knowing that a single step in the wrong direction could shatter everything forever. We are often told to look for the warning signs of danger, to watch out for the strange or the unusual. But what happens when the real danger is perfectly dressed up as your ordinary neighborhood success story? To the world, Richard and Elena Vance were the blueprint of the American dream. Wealthy, philanthropic, married 20 years. But perfection is a highly effective camouflage. When local police finally cut the padlocks off their basement door on a cold Tuesday morning, they weren't just uncovering a crime scene. They were uncovering a highly sophisticated, 2-decade-long lie that would force an entire state to look at their neighbors and wonder, who are we actually living next to? Because what lay beneath the floorboards wasn't just evidence of a murder, it was a live countdown. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The quiet, suburban town of Oakridge was the kind of place where nothing ever happened, where manicured lawns stretched for miles and neighbors left their front doors unlocked. Richard was a brilliant tech entrepreneur whose software firm provided jobs for half the county, while Elena ran the local charity foundation, organizing food drives and winter clothing campaigns. They were deeply woven into the fabric of the community, the kind of couple that stood at the center of every photograph at regional galas and neighborhood block parties. To anyone watching, their bond was unbreakable, built on decades of mutual respect, shared ambition, and an abundance of wealth that they generously shared with those around them. Yet those who lived closest to the sprawling Vance estate eventually began to notice small, almost imperceptible shifts in the couple's daily routines. There were no loud arguments, no dramatic driveway scenes, and no visible fractures in their public presentation, but a quiet rigidity had taken over their household. Richard became increasingly obsessed with the perimeter security of the property, installing advanced motion sensors and high-definition cameras that pointed outward toward the street, as well as inward toward his own property lines. Elena, once a vibrant presence at every morning coffee gathering, gradually began to limit her interactions, always offering a polite smile but keeping her distance, as if constantly monitoring an invisible boundary line. The turning point arrived on a rainy evening in mid-October, when Elena failed to appear at her own charity foundation's annual benefit dinner, an event she had spent 6 months planning down to the smallest detail. When guests arrived and found her podium empty, the initial confusion quickly transformed into deep concern, prompting her close colleagues to call her personal phone, which went straight to voicemail. Richard arrived at the venue an hour late, looking pale and deeply shaken, explaining to the gathered crowd that his wife had been feeling unwell and had decided to stay home to rest. But as the hours ticked by and no one could reach her, the collective unease in the room began to grow into something far more concrete. By the following morning, Richard had contacted the local police department himself, filing a formal missing persons report and presenting an image of a distraught, grieving husband desperate for answers. He provided investigators with full access to the home's smart lock logs and internal security data, which clearly showed Elena entering the residence at 4 in the afternoon, but never exiting through any of the main doors. The digital footprint was clean, indicating that her phone had disconnected from the home network at precisely midnight, leaving behind a completely empty space where a person used to be. The local authorities launched a massive ground search, combing through the nearby woodlands and reviewing traffic cameras, but every single lead led to a dead end. As the investigation entered its second week, a seasoned detective named Miller began to look past the surface data and focus on the structural anomalies of the Vance residence itself. While reviewing the smart home utility records, Miller noticed a massive, unexplained spike in electrical consumption that occurred every single night between the hours of 2 and 5 in the morning. This power draw was equal to the electricity required to run a small commercial facility, yet the main house remained dark and quiet during those exact hours, according to the exterior security footage. When questioned about the anomaly, Richard claimed it was simply an automated server backup system for his technology company, but his answers felt scripted and overly technical. Driven by an investigative instinct, Detective Miller secured a specialized search warrant to conduct a forensic sweep of the property, bringing in a team equipped with advanced thermal imaging and ground-penetrating radar. The team began their search in the main living areas, finding a home that was meticulously organized, completely free of dust, and scrubbed down with industrial-grade cleaning agents that masked any natural scents. When the radar equipment was brought into the central hallway, the monitors revealed an underground void that extended far beyond the home's original architectural blueprints filed with the city. Beneath a heavy oriental rug in the back corridor, the team discovered a flush steel hatch secured with a heavy digital padlock. The moment the lock was breached, the air that escaped from the opening was cold, sterile, and carried the distinct, unmistakable hum of heavy machinery operating deep underground. The staircase led down into a highly sophisticated, soundproofed bunker that looked less like a traditional basement and more like a high-security data center. In the center of this underground complex sat a desk with multiple monitors, a small kitchenette, and a living area that showed signs of recent occupancy. The forensic team immediately began processing the space, discovering that the servers were hosting a massive, highly profitable network of encrypted data archives containing sensitive corporate intelligence from around the globe. But the most stunning revelation came when the biometric unit analyzed a glass left on the desk, revealing DNA that belonged to a woman who had been officially declared dead in a neighboring state over 20 years ago. The public narrative of a simple missing person case was instantly shattered, replaced by a complex puzzle that involved identity theft on a massive scale and a decades-long operation hidden beneath a suburban lawn. When Richard was brought into the interrogation room, his previous demeanor of a grieving husband vanished, replaced by a cold, calculating confidence that stunned the prosecuting team. He claimed that the underground operation was his own creation, a private digital vault designed to secure his wealth outside the traditional banking system, and that Elena had simply discovered it and fled out of fear. He insisted that he had no knowledge of the identity fraud or the old missing person case, portraying himself as a successful businessman who had simply crossed ethical lines for financial gain. But the digital forensics team was already deep inside the encrypted network, peeling back layers of code that told a completely different story. As the encryption barriers fell, investigators uncovered a massive cache of personal logs, video diaries, and financial transactions that turned the entire theory of the crime completely on its head. The digital signatures on the offshore accounts and the administrative access logs for the entire server network did not belong to Richard at all. They belonged to Elena. For 2 decades, she had used her charity network as a sophisticated mechanism to move capital, while using Richard's technical expertise and public profile as a protective shield to keep the authorities at bay. The pristine basement was not his kingdom, but a highly controlled environment where she managed an international operation right under the feet of the community. The final pieces of the puzzle fell into place when a hidden camera feed from a remote server showed Elena crossing a commercial border check in Canada under a completely new alias. Hours before Richard had even filed the missing person report, she had systematically orchestrated her own disappearance, leaving behind just enough digital anomalies to ensure the police would raid the house and discover the basement, effectively trapping Richard in a legal nightmare while she slipped away with the core assets. The man who the entire town believed was a powerful tech mogul was actually a secondary player in a game designed by an architect who was now completely out of reach. As the courtroom proceedings concluded and Richard was sentenced to a federal penitentiary, the quiet town of Oakridge was left to grapple with the realization that their perception of reality had been entirely manufactured. The perfect couple, the charitable foundation, and the beautiful suburban home were all part of a grand performance where the real stage was buried deep in the dark. It forces us to look past the clean facades of our own neighborhoods and question the true nature of the people we see every day. Was justice truly served in this case, or did the real mastermind execute the perfect getaway? Would you have been able to spot the anomalies before the floorboards were opened? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.